Fears over late-night partying and the dropping of inhibitions as people drank led to the suggestion of the 10 p.m. closing time for bars and restaurants. A similar measure seemed to have done some good in Antwerp, in Belgium. But then there was this. People spilling out to party in the streets of Liverpool. That was at 10 o'clock when the pubs closed on Saturday. Well, it has been quite a problem, and the debate on that rages. We've given quite a bit of attention, though, to the COVID-created problems of the cultural sector, or parts of it, theatres and film, for example. But much of the so-called nighttime economy has been wiped out by the pandemic. And we thought we should give a bit of attention to that. Rod Gilmore has been DJing hip-hop for 25 years under the name Spin Doctor, and for the past 15 years has been an events and club night promoter.
My own events came to an end with lockdown. There are still little bits of work for some DJs doing DJ sets in certain shops and things like that, but they're few and far between. And any work in terms of promoting nightlife events and booking DJs for nightlife events has also disappeared, because obviously the majority of those events start at 10 o'clock, never mind finish at 10 o'clock. And that means that myself and the hundreds, if not thousands, of other DJs up and down the country have next to no work and are all battling for the scraps of work that are left. I personally have been toying with retraining or retargeting my audience. You know, they're all music fans, and so maybe doing some fashion stuff or branding stuff around music that can hopefully generate some kind of income that people can click and buy from home and do so without even leaving the house.
Well, that was Rod Gilmore. Farah Nanji, better known as DJ Ninja, has travelled the world from residencies in Ibiza to the World Economic Forum in Davos.
I DJ sort of underground electronic music. It's kind of like progressive house meets tribal meets ethnic, so a bit of Ibiza, kind of Burning Man vibes. And on average, I was kind of traveling every 2 weeks out of a month, playing music in venues. And then since coronavirus happened, everything stopped all of a sudden, like the brakes just went hard. Since February, really. I since became a virtual resident DJ, my first ever virtual residency for Egg London, which is an amazing club in London. But there's no income coming from that. And then when it became apparent there's just no hope for venues to open up, I decided to apply for a universal credit as a temporary measure. Luckily, I had been making a sort of shift, and I had a startup that I started kind of pursuing last year. And so my ultimate goal will be that, hopefully we can get investors into the business and create a profitable business in the next 2 years. But there is no sort of end in sight as to when my career will ever go back to what it was.
Farah Nanji, DJ Ninja. Well, it's a familiar problem. There's no feeling they can remain open, and yet the people involved in the business can't earn if they're closed. I spoke to Sasha Lord, the nighttime economy advisor for Greater Manchester.
I'm not going to sugarcoat it. The nighttime economy is absolutely on its knees at the moment. We saw a curfew put into place only this weekend. Clearly, the government have not spoken to any operator regarding this, because we could have told them exactly what was going to happen. And that was when everybody piled out at 10 o'clock. They were just going to the supermarkets. The transports were absolutely packed. It was a complete mess. Our Mayor for Greater Manchester today, Andy Burnham, has asked them to urgently review this, because it's only going to get worse. And we saw a spate of house parties, and we've all seen the viral videos of street dancing in London and Liverpool. It's just not good enough. And as well as that, the operators themselves saw a drop in trade this weekend of between 40 and 50%. Our theatres, our live music venues, our nightclubs, they are all closed with no guidance, no roadmap whatsoever. Surely for those industries that are completely shut, there needs to be more support.
Well, you've raised a lot there. Let's just talk about the 10 p.m, because in fairness, the government were following what had appeared to work in Belgium. Everyone only a few weeks ago was saying, look at Belgium, they managed to turn around the second wave. In Antwerp, they had an 11 p.m. curfew, I think, on bars shutting. In fact, in Belgium, it's gone back up again, and I think they've drop the curfew. Lots of places have done that. But the alternative to the 10 p.m. curfew may not be let's let everybody go out all night. The alternative may well be just shut the whole lot down again, because that seems to be an area of great concern. Restaurants, bars, and late night restaurants and bars in particular.
Do you know what? Any operator that you speak to will completely understand that safety has to and must always come first. That's the most important thing. But what we are saying at the same time is follow the lead of countries like Spain, France, Germany. And if we do need to shut completely, then they need to carry on with financial support.
I mean, I suppose the government is saying here, if the job isn't going to be back for the foreseeable future, then the people in it need to go looking elsewhere.
But there will be a stage when we are allowed to open again fully, and I'm hoping it's not too far away. And when we are allowed to reopen, if those people have moved on to different careers or different sectors, we're going to struggle. We're already seeing this now with freelancers. There are 130,000 freelancers in the UK who are looking for other career paths. So eventually, when the arenas do be allowed to open, there's going to be no one to put the staging up, the sound, the lights, the techies, the crew. They've all moved on to other industries. So we need to try and protect people as much as we can.
But just to summarise, you don't say the sector should be kept open. You're not saying put public health second or...
Not in the slightest. No. Safety must always come first. Always.
What significance is there to the fact the streets tend to go quiet now after 10 or 11 or midnight?
Well, the nighttime economy is the fifth biggest industry in the whole of the UK. In Greater Manchester alone, we employ 420,000 people. Many are fearful and anxious and concerned for their jobs at the moment. It's worth 66 billion to the economy. That's how much we're talking about.
Sasha Lord, the nighttime economy advisor for Greater Manchester.